The story for Jedi Fallen Order is a dark one. It's a dark time for the Jedi and the galaxy as a whole. Set between episodes 3 and 4 and 6 years after Palpatine executes Order 66, this journey follows a young ginger Jedi hero, Cal, and his new mentor, Sierra Junda. The two attempt to rebuild the Jedi Order as they are pursued by two of the Empire's evil Inquisitors. Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of Two Bags with Teddy. I'm your host, Two Bags, and I'm joined today by Beau.
Hello, everybody. You guys know me from really every other video on this channel.
This feels weird hosting, it's nice.
Yeah, it's cool. I feel like I'm Jeff Van Gundy, doing the color commentary. Mark Jackson, we can get Aaron, right? Aaron? No, he didn't play the game.
No,
get
out
out
here
here.
either.
Wait, so I'm not in this one?
No.
Why not?
Tase him.
Wasn't always like this. But now, there are 3 rules to survive. Don't stand out. Accept the past. Trust no one.
I'm very happy we chose this game.
Yeah, I really like the game too. I think the strengths of the game outweigh the weaknesses. I think there are story weaknesses, character weaknesses, but a game like this, you want to be a Jedi. You want to have the Force, you want to have all the moves, you want to feel like you're actually in the Star Wars universe, and I think that's what they captured beautifully. I mean, it looks great too. The graphics for all these games that come out, if your game is good, it's usually got good graphics. That's become a trend in video games, a good trend. It looks great. It feels like Star Wars. That's always the test.
Yeah, they did really good with the puzzles. That was a big point that I liked. That's what really helps the game move on and maybe feel challenging to somebody is, you solve a nice puzzle. You feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah, it's that adventure style. It's like Uncharted.
Yeah.
It reminded me a lot of Uncharted, the different puzzles and the missions, the tasks.
You feel like a Jedi.
Right,
Let me
exactly.
figure this out. Like you said, the fighting, the graphics, the battling, every battle is all the lightsaber fights. It feels great, and I'm a big fan of the Jedi itself. That's what I love about these movies is the Jedi, not so much the politics behind it, which there were no politics in this game.
You like them just out in the field.
Yeah, and that's
very
what
much
you
what
did.
this is. Yeah. It's a mission. And the story itself, you kept saying that you wish this was a movie. It did have that cinematic quality.
Just about to say that. I would much rather prefer this storyline. At least give us this movie. This was a great time, because that's got to be a big question with Star Wars is what happened after Order 66 happens.
Yeah, and that's kind of the intrigue of the game is because it is set after Revenge of the Sith and 14 years before Rogue One. It's what did these Jedi do? The Jedi that did get away, and we see with Cal's character, his master Jaro, he sacrificed himself and allowed Cal to get away. Mm-hmm. And he kind of has to grapple with that, the guilt that he felt over his master's death. But the character of Cal, I think, would be my biggest criticism, because I do have a lot of positives of the game. He doesn't really have that much personality.
I thought he was annoying.
That's absurd and offensive.
But it's the truth.
I kept saying as I was playing, it kept reminding me of Spider-Man, but he just wasn't as funny as Peter Parker.
Yeah, and he was voiced, I think the voiceover performance by Cameron Monaghan, who's known for playing the Joker in the Gotham television series, is good. He has the voice. He sounds the part. But yeah, like you said, he's not witty like Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the game's mechanics reminded me, the puzzles, the kind of parkour, it reminded me of Uncharted. And one of the strongest parts of Uncharted is the characters. The characters are so funny. Their little reactions, their jokes in between missions while you're running around with them. They have such personality. These characters didn't feel like they actually existed in the Star Wars universe. They were more like avatars.
For me, it was like a breath of fresh air for Star Wars, because this is a game that I can definitely get behind, and definitely it's a storyline that I can get behind with Star Wars, because it feels like it doesn't feel fun to talk about it.
Yes.
In this one, I don't know if a lot of people played this game. I wish this game was as big as the Star Wars movies. This is such a breath of fresh air for Star Wars, because I was enjoying the story so much, where I did connect with the characters because the story was so good. The Star Wars universe right now is it feels like it's in shambles, because it's like if you like the game, or if you like either one of the Star Wars movies, there's going to be an opposition who really didn't like it. Where this, I think people can get behind this game and really enjoy this game.
Yeah, I think we see that with this and The Mandalorian. And the sales for this have exceeded expectations. But yeah, it's kind of making it fun to enjoy Star Wars again. Right. It's not as polarizing. They're not making these huge decisions or changing the lore. But that story, the initial story of trying to find the holocron of Force-sensitive children, that right off the bat, that's intriguing.
Right.
Because you're thinking, oh, possibly the rebuilding the Jedi Order. But knowing what we know going into this story, even hearing that, you think Luke tried this and then failed. So even if they succeed here, we know the ending already. I think Star Wars has a big problem with that, where they kind of bury the potential in their stories by revealing things in wrong places.
Yeah, but they kind of did that with Luke, and he failed miserably, which they did. They ended up failing in this game.
Yeah. Well, I almost like it more in this game because it kind of goes back to the idea of hiding Luke on Tatooine and kind of letting the Force do its thing. Let destiny take him to where he needs to go. That's what Cal says when he breaks the holocron at the end, right?
Ultimate, that's where they went.
Their destiny should be trusted to the Force.
But when they get the holocron, I was like I said earlier, it was a breath of fresh air. But then when they introduced that holocron, I was like, all right. I mean, I guess they had to go somewhere with the Star Wars universe, right? They couldn't just make it completely different.
No. It's always got to come back.
Tie in, yeah.
Well, the characters, too, his supporting crew, we have Seer Junda, which was an interesting character, a former master who had cut herself off from the Force. And they get into her relationship with Trilla, who was one of the Inquisitors working for the Empire. And that's always interesting because we have the rule of two with the Sith, but they always have their minions running around with lightsabers and Force abilities.
Why don't you just do it yourself, man?
And the Ninth Sister as well. That was the battles between them. I thought, obviously the lightsaber, it's going to go through things and it's going to phase through with video game graphics. It's not going to just cut through everything.
Right.
Yeah, the cutscenes and the cutaways and even the little animations within the fights when you are
right,
battling them.
Like when you get like halfway done with the boss and then they'll do like a 10-second cutscene of them talking.
Right,
which, that was a big point in this game that I really, really loved was the graphics with the fighting.
Yeah, you like the combat.
Yeah, it was very, very smooth, and I had to dumb it down a little bit because I was rage quitting. Well, if I wasn't playing, if I wasn't recording, having to finish the game, I would have rage quit and left.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you were kind of speed running a bit, but yeah, no, at times it was difficult, even the puzzles. But yeah, some of the fighting challenges, and yeah, like you said, all the mechanics, the physics of the lightsaber were great. Reflecting bolts, all the different Force moves and abilities.
If you think about it too, he was still a Padawan. He never became a master. Where these fights should be tough. You shouldn't be just running through these stormtroopers and. Well, I mean, the stormtroopers you do run through, but the harder bosses,
No, yeah, some
they
of them
take longer to kill.
That's actually a great point. That was a clever way for them to. Because, when you play a game, you have to upgrade your character, get new moves. But for him, it was like he had to relearn his training because he had forgotten.
Right.
And like you said, he was a Padawan until he gets knighted at the end.
They hit home, too. This game hits a lot of points, man. I love that we didn't fight Vader. And it was just like...
that scene is incredible.
It was like a whole... Like, we were running away from Vader.
Right.
Because, Cal... Like, you're not beating Vader, man. Like, you can't. It wouldn't make sense.
Right. In another game, it would have been like, oh, I can go toe-to-toe with Vader.
Right.
But in this scenario... It was almost like a horror scene, similar to Rogue One.
You didn't beat Trilla because Vader came in and stopped it.
Yeah, and then he kills Trilla.
Yeah,
and yeah, all that stuff between those four characters at the end. But Vader showing up like that,
that was
just
so badass,
intimidating monster that he is. When you're in the elevator trying to get it down, and then the camera pans, and he's right outside the door after you had been running away from him. The way that they've been using Vader, they've been using him sparingly and effectively in the different mediums.
One point I really wanted to make about this game was. For a straight up single player story mode game, this was so interactive where I feel like a lot of games don't rely, but they lean on online multiplayer, where this was just straight up story mode, and it kept you entertained for the entire time.
That's kind of the big debate going on now. It's what are video game companies going to focus on? The online multiplayer
open worlds,
or single player? The experience you get from a single player story, I think it just can't be replicated from online multiplayer.
100%.
You get so immersed. I mean, and everything they did, going to Dathomir, the home planet of Darth Maul, Zepho, all the other Kashyyyk, Chewie's home planet. It really felt like an adventure. And no, you just can't beat that single campaign, man. You really can't. I loved BD1.
Star Wars seems to have a trend where each addition to the Star Wars universe, they have like their own.
They get a robot sidekick.
Yeah, between Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
BD1, BB-8.
BB-8, yeah, and R2-D2.
You got a favorite? Is it BD1?
Oh, it's always R2.
Yeah.
R2 is always my favorite. He's one of my all-time favorite Star Wars characters. Stealing the AT-AT was really fun. Just some highlights of some
I was going to
missions.
ask you, do you have a favorite cutscene, battle, or mission or something like that?
I think the AT-AT might be my favorite. Or flying on that demon thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to fight him, getting him to crash into.
Jumping down to the water, climbing onto AT-AT, getting in there. I don't know about you. Have you ever wondered what it was like inside of the AT-ST?
No, yeah, I was wondering, like, do they have like a lounge?
Yeah.
There's a bar. It's just Whoopi Goldberg's
pretty big in
character. Yeah, no, it's spacious.
Yeah.
They mentioned that. They were like, that's a transport AT-AT, so there's going to be troops inside.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So no, that was really fun. And then Saw Gerrera popping up on the windshield.
Yep.
Like, hey, who are you?
It scared me a little bit.
He did. Yeah, it was a nice little jump scare there.
A nod to the graphics, man. When you're climbing on the AT-ST, they keep changing the camera angles and making it like you really were climbing on it. It's, I don't know, they did a really great job.
Yeah,
man.
it was well directed.
The details is great.
To go back to the fighting again, it seems like so many games are heading in an upward trend in their combat controls, where it is so fun, it's so fluid. It didn't necessarily start with the Batman games, but that's where it was like, whoa,
Right.
this is fun. You can jump around. You can really feel like I don't want to say it like you're a Jedi, but that's how you feel.
No, I don't know, man. I agree. It made you feel like you were trained to be a Jedi because you did start from the bottom where you couldn't do anything, and like throughout the game, you're upgrading your force, your lightsaber fights. I don't know.
Multiple different lightsaber colors.
Yeah. Oh, about that? Did you like that?
Yeah, the dual lightsaber,
too.
dual bladed. That was cool. It was a fun experience, and we've all been kind of waiting for this. We get the Battlefront games, and the storyline was actually, I liked the last story for Battlefront, but it's not like this, where, like you said, this is the focus. This is where all the attention is going to.
Different game.
Yeah.
All in all.
Right.
I read a bunch of reviews, and I didn't like that they were saying that like this game stole from different games. How are you stealing from games if you want to make a great game? You have to incorporate these other games into your game. People saying that they stole from Uncharted. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
no, it's
good.
like they
Good.
learned from Uncharted.
Yes.
It's like,
Yeah. Well said. They learn. Steal.
yeah,
Good. Rather than making a crap game.
100%.
People, when this criticism was more legitimate, but when the Batman Arkham prequel game came out, the biggest criticism was this is just a copy of Arkham City. And it was. The only difference was that Batman was 5 years younger. But it was just another Batman story. They didn't add anything, but it was still the same quality of that game. And I thought,
I love that. Just give it
it's
to
like
me
a
again.
DLC.
I mean, just do it
right?
again. Yeah.
Right. Charging $60 is maybe excessive if you're going to do a copycat. But in this case, like you said, stealing. No, they learn.
Yeah.
You take. Good. And then now it's Star Wars. It's Star Wars Uncharted. You don't want that?
Exactly.
Do people not want that?
Exactly. I think kudos to EA, man. You took on Star Wars, which is
And how often do people say that?
yeah, right.
Kudos to EA.
Especially, how often do you say great Star Wars?
No, yeah, no.
You don't
definitely.
incorporate great with Star Wars nowadays anymore, really.
I think we take it for granted when
Yep.
the good ones come around.
100%.
We don't cherish them as much as we should.
Stop enjoying this. Stop enjoying this.
All right, that's going to do it for Two Bags with Teddy. Beau, thanks for joining me.
Oh, it was a pleasure to be on the inaugural episode.
I'm very happy we chose this game, like I said in the beginning, and I suggest you go out and buy it if you haven't yet.
Or get healthcare if you don't, That's important too.
No, I think do the video game first.
Yeah, okay. Well. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video, and of course we would like to thank our Patreon supporters. Without you guys, Nerd Soup wouldn't be Nerd Soup. Seriously, your support is what keeps the fridge full, so thank you once again for your support. If you are interested in supporting Nerd Soup through Patreon, visit our page and check out the different rewards we offer to our fans. If not, then no problem. We appreciate anyone who takes time from their day to watch our videos. So thank you to each and every one of you out there watching, and remember to like and share this video. And hit the subscribe button if you want to see more videos like it. Or don't.